But Murli Gopal Prabhu, we're very happy that you can preach to the machines and the nurse practitioners and everybody. Thank you, Prabhu. So we're going live on YouTube.
Okay.
Before that, we'd like to say hi to the temple room, Jaini Tai Prabhu, and all the senior devotees on this call, junior devotees, everybody bowing down to you. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Murli Gopal Prabhu. Let's do it. Let's not forget to leave 10, 15 minutes for loving exchanges before 8 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Jai, thank you, Prabhu. Jai, thank you, Prabhu. Let me then bring you to the verse today. Screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 50th chapter, texts 7 through 10. Texts 7 and 8. Anishyami balam hetad bhuvi bharam samahitam magadena samanitam vasyanam sarva bhujayam akshahini bih sankyatam vatashvarata kunjarahi magadastu nahanya hantavyo huyakarta balodhyamam. Translation. The Supreme Lord thought, since it is such a burden on the earth, I will destroy Jarasanda's army, consisting of Akshuhinis of foot soldiers, horses, chariots, and elephants, which the king of Magda has assembled from all subservient kings and brought together here. But Jarasandha himself should not be killed, since in the future he will certainly assemble another army. Purport. After due consideration, Lord Krishna decided that since he had descended to the earth to destroy the demons, and since Jarasandha was so enthusiastic to bring all the demons to the Lord's front door, it was definitely more efficient to keep Jarasandha alive and busy. Text 9. Translation. This is the purpose of my present incarnation, to relieve the earth of its burden, protect the pious, and kill the impious. And finally, text 10. I also assume other bodies to protect religion and to end irreligion wherever it flourishes in due course, in course of time. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militamyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakatam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. Thank you, Prabhu, for having me here. Thank you for coming. Before I begin, I would like to request all of the assembled devotees, especially the senior most devotees, to please bless me that I may say something which is in line with our Guru Parampara, that is enlivening and purifying to our hearts, and that our hearts themselves become fertile ground for this sublime message to take root on. Wow, this is a beautiful beautiful verses that we're hearing today, and there is one verse from the Bhagavad Gita that should be resounding in everybody's mind as you're hearing this, right? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This verse that, where Krishna is revealing to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita why he's coming. He's coming to just annihilate the miscreants, to protect the pious, and reestablish dharma, right? And Krishna here in text 10 is saying, and I assume all the bodies to do that. So many bodies. So this is the reason for the Lord's descent. But you might ask, is it really needed? Does the Lord really need to come down here to do these things? He doesn't need to do it personally. I mean, he has sent his representatives, his sons, his prophets. He has sent so many people Why does he need to do it himself? If you're the CEO of a company, just like, hey, go in and see what's going on over there, right? That's why you're the person in charge, because you can just do that and have fun, play golf, whatever. So Krishna doesn't really need to do that. But he does it. And the acharyas explain why. They say that he does it is actually to give pleasure to the devotees. That is why. I mean, think about this. One of the incarnations of Krishna is this huge turtle. Yes, you heard right. It's a huge turtle. How big is the turtle? It says that the length and breadth of its shell is 800,000 miles. That's big. That's a big. Now you might when you start talking about these big numbers, you sort of like lose perspective of how big that is. You could say like, oh, that must be very, very big, isn't it? Yeah. It's no. It's huge. The Just to put it into perspective, the distance from the Earth to the moon is about like 240,000 miles. So the length and breadth of Lord Kurmadev, the Lord's incarnation as a turtle, is about 3.3 times the distance from here to the moon. That's how big his shell is. Now that is incredible. And why did he assume that form? What was the point? Well, it is said, if you remember, back in what was it, the eighth canto? Yeah, that the demigods and the demons, they wanted to get the nectar, right? They wanted to churn. They were told, like, if you churn this ocean of milk, which is already like, okay, an ocean of milk, yeah, yes, an ocean of milk. If you churn an ocean of milk, you're gonna get, like this nectar, which will make you immortal. So they were like, oh yeah, let's do it. But the demons themselves could not just do it, and the demigods themselves could not just do it. So Krishna said, like, okay, you all have to work together. That's a lesson in itself, isn't it? How many times do you feel that I can't work with this devotee? Like it's impossible. Uh yeah. So Krishna comes and he says, like, yeah, you sometimes have to work for me, and you have to put aside all your enmities, all of your egos, all like that, if you really want the goal. So, and here, unfortunately, it was not. It was not a very lofty goal. It was just like, yeah, I just want to be immortal, right? But he made them work together, and they were like, okay, how do we do this? Well, then you have to get a mountain to turn an ocean. Obviously, how else are you going to turn an ocean, right? You get a big mountain, the Mandara mountain, and you start turning it. And how do we do that? He said, you're going to have to get an expansion of me, which is Vasuki, this huge uh, snake that will wrap around the mountain. And then from one side, you're going to pull, and the other side you're going to pull, and that's how you're going to turn it. Okay. So first of all, they said, okay, let's ask the Lord for help in his form of Vasuki. And then they were bringing, they said, okay, let's bring the mountain. And they started lifting the mountain. And it said that it crushed them. It was so heavy. It was so powerful and we're talking here about people who are not just, just strong and can lift. These are powerful devatas and asuras. These are people that have mystical powers, and they were crushed by this mountain. And so Krishna had to come in the form of Narayan and just help them lift that mountain and put it where it's supposed to be. So again, Krishna is coming and helping. One of the things that you see here is that Krishna is coming here again and again in different forms, just to help us in everything, in our lives. We have to recognize when he does. This is something that the devotees have to always be very alert. And it's like, how is Krishna coming into my life? Because we make it all so we become so mechanical in our lives that we don't see when he is coming. And if we don't recognize it, where is the Krishna consciousness? Part of being Krishna conscious is recognizing God in every single step. Whether it's something amazing like, oh, thank you, Krishna, something really difficult, or even something very mundane. Even something very mundane, we have to always keep Krishna there in the back of the mind and in the front of the mind as well, saying like, yes, here's Krishna in this interaction with this person, even though that interaction was like, normal, it wasn't anything. Here's Krishna. So they got the mountain, they started churning, and it started sinking. And then everybody was like, we can't do it like that. So the Lord came as Kurma avatar, as this big turtle, and went, crawled inside, underneath the mountain and lifted the mountain. And it said that as they were pulling, he was feeling a nice little, he had an itch in his back. So this was like a nice way to scratch that itch. It was very pleasant for him. So what science fiction writer do you know can come up with something like this? This is like so far out, this whole story. But this is Krishna. If Krishna was a Brahmajyoti, if the absolute truth was simply just an impersonal, non-sentient light that is just there, right? Why would it want to come specifically in that incredible form and do this like incredible pastime like that? He could just go by the will, the Brahmajyoti could just make it so that the mountain could be lifted, right? You don't need to think of an 800,000-mile turtle going under a mountain and balancing it. Like that's not necessary. But Krishna does it because he wants to come and attract our minds. That's the purpose. When the Lord comes to this world, he comes for the reason of showing compassion to the living entities. When he's in the spiritual world, he is there to just enjoy with the devotees. When he comes here, he comes to specifically to attract our minds. Because when we hear about his pastimes, this purifies our heart. Hearing about the glories and the pastimes of the Lord purifies our heart and awakens that bhakti that is there for to do it. Just by hearing these wonderful pastimes, we have such natural affinity to hear about things, right? We watch all of these movies, these Marvel movies and other things, and go like, wow, look at that superhero and like that. Yeah, well, that there's that propensity because we want to hear about these things. But when Krishna comes, it's natural that he is going to do like incredible things. Like as a 7-year-old boy, he comes in and he lifts a mountain. He lifts this mountain called Govardhan with his left pinky for 7 days. Again, who thinks of something like that? Who can think but he does it, and so many years and years after, we're still thinking about it. Thousands of years, 5,000 years afterwards, we're still talking about his pastimes. What can we do to get remembered? If the best thing that we can do right now is go on social media, and you'll have like your 5 minutes of stardom, and that's it. But Krishna, he doesn't need social media. He has the when he acts, like all of these pastimes come into scriptures, and it gets disseminated for all time to come. We're hearing pastimes that are this one of Kurma Avatar happened in Satya Yuga, hundreds and thousands of actually millions of years ago. So when he comes, he displays these amazing pastimes. But avajananti mamuda manushintanam ashritam. Fools, he says, they deride me when I come in this human form. They think, oh, they start, calculating. Well, this is not. This is just all, um, you know, embellishments. He couldn't have been that big. He couldn't have, really gotten a mountain on his back. That is just superstition. That is just exaggerations like that, because they cannot fathom. But if you're God, you can do anything, and that's the whole point. He can do everything, and he does do everything. Because when we hear that, then it's just like, wow, I want to know more about this. What happened to those demigods and those demons? Did they get the nectar? What did they churn out of it? And actually, they started, the first thing that came out of it was poison. So anyway, the whole passage is just one mind-blowing thing after another. And that is what we do. There are people who try to imitate God by trying to get these mystical powers. There's a yogi in New Vrindavan, which some of the devotees they talk about. This yogi came to New Vrindavan and he said, like, I have all these amazing great powers. And some of the devotees were like, really? What great powers do you have? And he said, and he started displaying, like, he told them, okay, I'm going to stop my heart. Just how long do you want me to be in the state of being dead, basically? And he got and they got some physicians from the town, and I think it was two physicians, and they were going to check him, and they said 20 minutes. He said, okay. He started going, and then he stopped his heart. And they started checking like that, no pulse, no breathing, nothing. He was clinically dead. And after 20 minutes, he went like, and came back. Okay. And for his next feat, they he said, okay, just I'm going to lay down here on the ground and take this truck and just run over my body. And they did. And they ran, and he came up and nothing, perfectly. Then he said, okay, take two big American trucks, right, to side and side, and with his hands he held on to some ropes that were on them, and they started going on opposite sides, full speed, and he held both of them with his arms, and he wasn't like strong and everything like that. He was like normal. Yogis are not known for being like super buff, right? But he held on to them like that. And oh yeah, and there was this other trick that he did, which was he took a long pole and And at the end, they put like 100 like this mass that had that was like 100 pounds, and he balanced it on his eyeball. And so, the newer devotees, they were all going like, "Oh my God, this is so incredible." This is a real yogi, this like that. And the older devotees were like, like big deal.
Murli Gopal Prabhu, why did the guy come? Was he applying for a job or something? Temple president, maybe?
uh, these one of the things.
Hold on. Bhima Prabhu is tempted to glorify the Lord.
Well, I just want to say, Prabhu, where did you hear this story, or were you there?
And who drove the truck?
Were you there, Prabhu?
No, I was not there. This was back in
And
the old
where
days.
did you hear this story? Yeah, I was there.
Um,
I
this,
was I was there for that, and we were being entertained. Radhanath Maharaj was there. I don't. Where did you hear this story from?
from Radhanath Maharaj.
And he said that there were two trucks, and the guy held two trucks.
That's what he said in his lecture. Yes.
Well, I was there for the whole thing, and it was less than fantastic. The things he did stop his heart, and we were kind of like, wow, that's something. And these were Sankirtan devotees who'd been through thick and thin and have seen 1,000 miracles happen and watching Krishna's mystic powers all day long by virtue of being saved all day long. We weren't very much impressed with this chubby little yogi, and he said, "Well, watch, I'll rip this metal plate in half." And he handed it around to the devotees who were holding this serving tray, and then he gave it to Radhanath Maharaj, and Radhanath Maharaj looked at it. And Maharaj,
Hey, Bhima Prabhu, you're breaking up.
like
Stop walking. Stop moving. You're breaking up.
How am I now? Am I steady
Good.
now?
Yeah, you're steady now. Yeah, so he gave it to Radhanath Maharaj, and what happened next?
Maharaj was, studied it, and then he turned it over in his hands, and he bent it right in half. It was this really thin, plate. And then we went out to, then he said, I will go out and I will hold this truck. And just all of us just started walking away. Like we were totally unimpressed. He was not impressive in the least. And we had a few visitors at that time who came in with their, this might be another yogi who came in who held the trucks. But I remember there was about a dozen of us that were being entertained. And yes, he did stop his heart. It was for about, 2 minutes. And we were kind of intrigued by that. But when he tried to do after Radhanath Maharaj bent the serving tray, we kind of just realized that this was all trickery, which is 99.99% of all yogic spiritual power that's happening in this day and age. It's all trickery. And it's nothing more than the stuff you see on YouTube. I just thought that, for Prabhu was talking about Krishna karma and everything like that, and then seeing Krishna in the little things, and I just wanted to say very quickly that we have we have a little miracles presented before us every single day. Every single day we have 1,000 little miracles a day. Today I was looking at, and I'll make it very quick. Today I was looking at one of orchids that's blooming during the winter here. And it has a stamen, which is a male part, and a pistil, which is the female part. And there's pollen. And of course, it's winter, so we have no bees. But if a bee were to, alight upon this stamen and pistil, he would fertilize the flower, as the same thing that we're fertilized as human beings. And but he would go back to his nest and his hive, and he would produce honey. And I was thinking about that when Prabhu was talking about finding Krishna in everything, and that we have 1,000 little miracles right before our eyes at all times. We don't need the mystic power is happening in front of us. And after I looked at the orchid, I went over and I looked at this big jug of raw honey. And and honey is such a special thing. It's very dear to Krishna. It's very dear, the bumblebee is very dear to Radharani and stuff like that. That we don't need, these miracles. We don't need these mystics. All we need to do is not take what we've been given for granted, and we need to open our eyes and see that Krishna is presenting us at every moment. I'm sorry for interrupting the class to say this, but with the presentation of this mystic, it really brought up some hackneyed, some jaded response in me about all the things we went through at that time. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing up those memories. It was quite a time.
So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing us to New Vrindavan and letting us know some of the things that go on there. The point of this was that, here are people that, in the lecture, Radha Maharaj was saying, you spent all that time, doing tapasya, doing austerities for this, for just for doing tricks, like big deal, and what do you do with when all those years like that? What do you do with it? You come and you become, just like a businessman to get some coins, from people that go like, oh, like that, just like a few coins, like, what? Is that why you went through so many years of incredible tapasya? But Krishna is Yogeshvar. Krishna is this is the master of all mystics, and he can attract our minds for all time to come. He can do these amazing things and more, like the things that he did as a baby. He was able to kill a witch, a child-eating witch, right? By sucking her dry of life. That is incredible. And he didn't need to do a lot of tapasya because he was just born. He was just a baby. So one of the things we have to understand is that Krishna, from the very beginning, in whatever form he takes, he is always God. He doesn't have to become God in any way. It is not that when he becomes a child, a baby, he's no longer God. No, he is still. When he becomes a boar, he is still God. He is always and under all circumstances God, and that is why when just basically we heard we had the disappearance or appearance of Jayadev Goswami this week, right? Jayadev Goswami, he was a saint and from medieval India, and he wrote these very esoterical pastimes of Krishna, of Krishna with Radharani. That we maybe one day when we're completely pure, when our heart is no longer contaminated by lust, greed, anger, illusion, all of these contaminants, when it's completely free, then we'll be able to read it. But at the very beginning of that, he describes who God is, just to give context. Like, okay, yes, I'm going to talk about these esoteric pastimes of Krishna and Radharani, but first know who God is, who Krishna really is. And he gave us the Dasavatar. The songs that we sing every morning, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. That is from the Gita Govinda. That is from that book. where he praises the Lord in the different avatars. And that last little part, of the prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, that comes from the Gita Govinda. So the Lord, he comes to attract our minds in all of this. And as Lord Chaitanya, right? As Lord Chaitanya, he descends specifically to display these beautiful pastimes about loving relationships. If you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's so amazing, so fulfilling to the heart. And what do they do there? All they're doing is, they're constantly just like having an incredible time chanting and dancing, and then saying like, okay, all right, now let's go have prasad. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. That is exactly what they are doing all the time. You hear about the way that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya invited the Lord to his house for lunch, and you hear so many of the detailed descriptions of devotees inviting the Lord for lunch. Right, so they go and they put a big lump of rice that was poured over with ghee, glistening with ghee. It says like, and then around it they would put all of these little plates with vegetable preparations, and then there were sweetmeats and all these things. And there are so many descriptions of just them having taking prasad like this, and the devotees, just being happy to serve the Lord, and and do these things. And you go like, oh, well, this is what bhakti is. Bhakti is relationships. That when the Lord comes, he's trying to bring this up, and is what is his relationships with others. Let us understand, that if we're trying to develop bhakti, is trying to develop these relationships. How do we develop our bhakti towards the Lord? Well, at the temple, it's so amazing, because the Lord gives us this facility through the Archa Vigraha, the forms of Radha and Murlidhar and Gaurachandra, right? And Lord Varahani Singhadev. It's like, okay, here are my forms, so that you can offer some loving service to me, and also so that we can get some reciprocation, that directly, and we can experience it. He has his devotees. Yeah, through the devotees, we're able to experience that love. That is why Lord Chaitanya, he made this Sankirtan, which is the devotees chanting to the Lord in relationship with each other. That is that is what makes it sweet. When we remember, after years and years of being in the movement, when we remember the nice things about our experience with Krishna, it's generally these exchanges of love with the devotees. Like, oh yeah, I remember that Ratha Yatra, that amazing Ratha Yatra. Or, oh yeah, I remember that time that the Swami came, and it was so hectic, but it was so blissful. This is bhakti. This is relationships. Okay, so Ananda Bihar Prabhu asked me to leave 10 minutes for questions and discussion. So I'm stopping here.
Thank you, Murli Gopal Prabhu. Wonderful class as always. Bruce Prabhu has his hand up. Bruce G.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for such a beautiful class. I just want to share that, in fact, last night I lived your class to the most unbelievable way that Krishna showed up in my life last night, which was, I've been studying Kirtan now for about 2 years. I was given the most amazing opportunity to lead Kirtan at home program last night. And it would have been the first time that I glorified the Lord in front of devotees. And all day I spent the day thinking, Kirtan is for Krishna, Kirtan is for Krishna. This is not about me. Except he really tried to work about I and mine out of my experience throughout the day, actually throughout the week. And got to the home sangha and was feeling really good. As soon as the harmonium was put in front of me, I completely froze. I looked at the harmonium like I was looking at a 800,000 mile turtle, and I had no idea what I was looking at. And I just thought to myself, again, going back to the turning of the milk, that the poison is still inside, and the Lord is not ready to have me glorify him in front of other devotees. And the power of association and the power of relationship and the power of the devotees' hearts, they rallied around me, and we did it a cappella and offered a kirtan to Krishna in a cappella without the harmonium. And in fact, it was turned out to be just precisely what Krishna wanted for me last night. So I just wanted to share this terribly or wonderfully humbling experience with the Lord, and just understanding how much in control he really is, if you see it that way, because that's the first thing that came to my mind, is the Lord is seeing that I'm not ready for this just yet. So and yet, again, going back to what bhakti is being here with you all and sharing each other's hearts and glorifying the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bruce Prabhu. You're so sincere. You're invincible. There's no false ego involved in your study and in your studios. Thank you. Krishna wanted to enjoy some a cappella, so he sent you some forgetfulness.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Bruce Prabhu. It's definitely Krishna humbles us, but at the same time, he gave you a taste of this is this is the holy name. You were asking for the holy name, and he gave you like this is the holy name. Okay, enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's not a performance.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Bhima Prabhu, you had your virtual hand up.
Yes, hi, Prabhu. Just responding to Bruce's wonderful little story, and that's how it always turns out. Krishna gives you something better. Just a story about being humbled in Kirtan. When I was a bhakta, we had a bunch of guys together at New Vrindavan, and Radhanath Swami was handing the mic to everyone to sing the Nishringa prayers. And we had a very slight, very phlegmatic devotee named Mukunda. And he would be like this. He would sing like that. And when he was singing, then after he got through and I started joking with the other guys and with Mukunda about Mukunda's singing, and Radhanath Swami, in the middle of me joking, he said, he looked at me and he goes, I thought that was the most lovely out of all of you singing. And he goes, and he looked straight at me and he goes, at least he sung with sincerity. So
Wow.
yeah, at least actually he goes, at least he was sincere. Because I was singing, of course, like trying to, fluctuate my voice and trying to sing deep and whatever I was doing, I was trying, you know what I mean? Trying to sing. And here's this guy who's namaste, narashi, like that, right? So when he got done, it was like we were all not laughing at him, but laughing with him. But Maharaj just looked straight in my eyes. And he goes, at least he was sincere. And he turned to Mukunda and he says, that was the best of all of them. So that was a big lesson I learned. That's how Krishna works.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Jamuna Jaya. Is it another crushing experience, Jamuna Jaya?
Oh, we could go on all day with all the crushing experiences I've had. and deserved and want more of them. But I was just really making the correlation, really, of we were talking about the churning of the ocean pastime, and then you talked about how it's the relationship of the devotees. And so isn't it wonderful that when, as you said, the poison comes up, who's it that lands up swallowing that poison? It's Mahadev, the greatest devotee of all, Lord Shiva. So it's so nice that it's our association that the devotees, like with Bruce Prabhu, we come and we catch it, and the devotees help you on and be the agents of Krishna to bring more Krishna into your life. So I was really just making that correlation in my mind that Lord Shiva caught it and he's the greatest devotee, and we can catch all those things for each other by being devotees and establishing that relationship. So just made that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Jamuna Jai. It's when we have this thing in our lives, and is that we think that, okay, I want to go back to the spiritual world, right? But really, to be able to go back to the spiritual world, we have to be like those of the spiritual world. We have to be already in that mindset. We have to be invited by them. So when we are already here practicing our relationships like those of the spiritual world, then we'll be ready to go. Then we'll be invited there, not before. So what we're aspiring for is this consciousness, this consciousness of bhakti, this consciousness of having these loving relationships with the devotees, so that we can just go and transition smoothly to the spiritual world. They're not going to take us while we're still jerks here in the material world.
No jerks in the spiritual world.
No. There may be difficulties in the spiritual world, because we've seen that devotees don't always get along, but they always resolve everything because they are able to put Krishna in the center. And I think that Adi Prabhu wanted to raise his hand to say something.
Unmute.
You're muted, Adi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A very, very wonderful point you made about how people can do these different magical tricks that seem to suspend or go against the normal way the material world works by performing tremendous austerity. These yogis, sometimes they hold their hand like this until their fingernails come out the back of the hand, or they stand on one foot, or my brother Swami told us in the Kumbh Mela, one yogi got in a big argument with a rickshaw driver, and then he threw some power at him and froze the guy, and then he realized, I just wasted 200 years of austerities, and it came out in a burst of anger. There's a lot of stupid things that they can do that look dramatic, but when they asked Prabhupada, what kind of magic, and Prabhupada pointed to the devotees and said, this is my miracle. And first of all, he gave credit to his spiritual master. By my spiritual master's grace, by Krishna's grace, I'm able to touch the hearts of these people and encourage them to give up frivolous and degrading activity and take up the service of the Lord with love. So that's the biggest miracle, and I give credit to my guru and to Krishna for that. So compared to these other magic tricks, this is like really, the other things they do are very useless, ridiculous, and just a manipulation. Just like if you go to some Aboriginal tribe in the middle of the jungle and you light a match, they'll think, oh, wow, you are magical. But it's just basically subtle chemical or physical manipulation of the material world that seems extraordinary, but it's just puny and ridiculous. Why? What? Just for some adoration and some distinction. Anyway, Prabhupada's real miracle is you, Radha Murli Prabhu. to see your wonderful devotion.
Murli Gopal. You got the Murli part right. It's Murli Gopal Prabhu.
Murli Gopal, I'm sorry.
So when Jesus walked on the water, was that like a puny manipulation? What was that done for?
It was done to glorify the Lord. There's the deities are opening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful class, Murli Gopal. Cameras on, please. Your devotees. Put on your best book.
Visheshastobam Govindam Haripurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindam Haripurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindam Haripurusham Angariyasya Sakalam Viyapritimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Yaganti Ananda Chivaya Sadhu Tala Vigrasya Govindam Haripurusham Tamam Bhajami Govindam Haripurusham. Thank you, Maharaj. Kami Haripurusham.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Shishi Radha Murlidhar ki jai. Shri Guru Chandra ki jai. Murli Gopal Prabhu ki jai. Should we do the afterglow? Murli Gopal Prabhu, we have a few minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, dear devotees, anyone has a reflection that they want to share? Lilia. Go ahead. Let me ask you to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi there, everybody. I had a question. So you stated how devotees in the spiritual world like to chant, dance, and feast. Do you think they ever get bored of that since it's eternal? And if they did get bored, is that why we were casted down with bodies? Or I don't know. I'm just like, I guess it's speculation, but I wonder if it's eternal, and do they never tire of that?
Yeah. So It's a good question because here in the material world, we get bored after doing something, right? We go to yoga class, the first time it's like, oh, yeah, it's amazing like that. And after a couple of, of days going like that, it's like, oh, maybe I want to do something else, maybe, and after a month, you realize that, you haven't gone for weeks. And then, but you still have the year pass. So it's normal because here in the material world we get diminishing returns. It's the law of diminishing returns. The more you do something, the less like that. But in the spiritual world, it's actually the opposite. You have these things where more and more you actually become enlivened. You get newer and newer pleasures and things. It's not that they are always, like the same thing happens over and over in the kirtans. No, there are new experiences in kirtan. And if you see and if you read some of the kirtans that Lord Chaitanya has, they're like wild and incredible, the things that happen in it. Where sometimes even like the Lord will manifest forms of Krishna in it. And the devotees are talking about how miraculous his dancing is. That when you see the Lord, even there are even blind people that just say like I wish I could see the Lord because they're hearing like it's so amazing, so attracting. That they want to see it. So it's something so far out that and it's ever new. That is about that is Krishna that is ever new. That little spark from within that we have when we're first doing something, that is Krishna there, and he can create that spark every single time. And even better and better and better. And I think Bhima Prabhu wants to chime in.
Yeah, he's gonna break up the mystery of how spiritual world works, the origins of Jiva and everything. Let's go, Bhima Prabhu.
Well, can I be heard okay, or am I breaking up?
No, you're not.
Okay. Well, one only has to remember a mother's love for their child. The mother, because she loves her child, is never bored with feeding the child, with nursing the child. Never bored. Never bored running to pick up the child. When two people are in love, no matter what they're doing together, sitting silently together on a park bench, going to the movies, playing tennis, whatever they do, because they're in love, they're never bored. It's not what you're doing, it's the fact that you're in love. When you're in the spiritual world and all you're thinking about is Krishna, it's not because you're being forced to think about Krishna in order to stay in the spiritual world. You're staying in the spiritual world because you're in love with Krishna. You're never bored. When Krishna is away, it's sort of like, not sort of like, we're told of this, Vipar Lamba, service and separation. If anybody has ever had, obviously all of us have had relationships, and we've also had time apart in our relationships, and spontaneously we think of that person. We think, should I call them? Should I write them a letter? Let me rearrange the room to make it look nicer. So we're never bored when you're in love. So that's what the spiritual world, that's what it's all about. And then that one moment that we say, but what about me? When we turn that love into calm, into lust in that one moment, Krishna loves us so much that he says, okay, yeah, sure, you can be the cynosure of attention. Go to this world where everybody's in love with themselves, and good luck. So that's my understanding of Shastra, that it's just all about the love. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, good point, Bhima Prabhu. Yeah, the reason why we come here to the material world is not because we got bored with Krishna up there. is because we wanted to see like what it's like to be the center. What is it like to receive all of the attention and be the one who is served and that. It was like Krishna was like, okay, yeah, here you go. Here's that possibility. And then we get trapped here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I see that there's another question in the chat. How can we come to the platform where we're chanting the Mahamantra even in our minds? That is, chanting out loud is not enough. This concept of Kirtanya Sadahari. Well, you're sort of already answering your own question there, with Kirtanya Sadahari. How can you do it? It's if you notice it, this process of chanting, to be able to do it constantly like that, sada, is with being more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, giving all respects to everyone and not expecting anything in return. This is how we come to that platform. But again, notice that all of these things are in relationship, right? How can you be more humble than a blade of grass? You have to be more humble than a blade of grass with somebody. You have to be more tolerant than a tree with somebody. Giving all respects to somebody and not expecting any return from anybody. So all of this is relationships. When we are in relationships with the devotees, then we can practice these things, and also with non-devotees, because they are devotees at heart. So when we're constantly doing these things, we can chant properly. We can chant in this proper state of mind. And all of the challenges that come in our lives are just showing us like, hey, look, you still have to work on this. Hey, look, there's this thing that you have not addressed. And then by taking shelter of Krishna, then we can get. I remember this one time that I had a very difficult time with a devotee, a very, very difficult time. And I was praying to Krishna. I was saying to him, like, please, my Lord, help me here, because yeah, I don't know how to make this situation right. I mean, there is so much enmity with between like that, and this can't be. We're both serving you. We're both here to serve you like that. How are we going to be able to preach, properly when there is enmity here? How are people going to be attracted to you if they see us, having the this quarrel amongst us? Please help us. And Krishna, eventually, he worked his magic, because I told him, like, I don't know what to do in this situation, and he worked his magic and he allowed it. So when we start taking shelter of Krishna to help us in these things, then he says in the Bhagavad Gita that Vahamyaham, that he will carry what we lack. And when Krishna becomes pleased with us, when he starts seeing like our sincerity and like that, then he'll start giving us that taste. Right now we're chanting mostly out of duty, and every now and then we get a little bit of a taste, like, oh yeah, like Bruce was saying, like, oh, it was blissful, like that. So he gives like a little taste, but eventually, by endeavoring, by showing Krishna our sincerity, when he becomes pleased with us, and especially when he becomes pleased with us in relationship with by the way that we're trying to deal with everyone around us, and trying to serve him and put him in the center, then he will give us that taste, and then it will not be enough. Then we'll become kirtan junkies. And Lila, you were asking like do we ever get enough like that? Does an addict ever think like, oh, I've had enough? I think I'm bored of taking drugs right now. No, you're like, I need more. I need more. That's how we become. We become Mahamantra junkies.
Bruce Prabhu, you need to change your Zoom name into Kirtan Junkie. Okay, I'll change it. I'm a host. I can change. I'll do that.
I never get tired. I can listen all day long, every day.
Okay. Murli Gopal Prabhu, wonderful. Thank you for your association. Keep preaching to the machines, to take nurses and doctors on a date in the temple. That's bona fide. Okay. And we just love you. We're just messing with you, Murli Gopal Prabhu. We love you.
No, I'm happy to receive all of your jokes.
Sure.
Actually, this coming Sunday, I'll be bringing a pair of neighbors from here, from where I live, to the temple. It was last Wednesday. The apartment complex where I live, they said like, oh, like let's bring here people together, to this restaurant, and just so that people can mingle. And I was like, okay, sure, let's go there. So I met these people, and I started talking, and everybody started talking about their lives, and devotees' lives are so incredible. They were like, you've done what? You like, what is this? And like that. And so they started getting more and more interested. And at the end, they were like, oh yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Murli Gopal Prabhu was working on the time machine, and then he became a monk for some years. So that's quite a story, right?
So then they said they themselves said like, we would like to keep talking more, because I was telling them about Krishna and like all these amazing things, and I said like, okay, fine, why don't you come to the temple on Sunday, and I'll we'll have lunch at Govinda's, and actually dinner at Govinda's, and I'll show you also the temple and everything like that. So yeah, we just try. Prabhupada has said, whoever you meet, just tell them about Krishna.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Lilia, thank you for the wonderful question. Bhima Prabhu, thank you for your wonderful comments. We can tell you've been to the spiritual world. You're not a stranger there. Got kicked out probably. But thank you for being with us. And, okay. I'm getting glances from my wife. she's damage controlling my that's her service. Okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Murli Gopal Prabhu. One final instruction for this Saturday.
Whoever you meet, tell them about Krishna.
Yeah. Wherever you go, da 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 da, tell them about Krishna. All right. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Hare